opening, grand closing.
All right. Welcome, my friends, my family, my fellow gamers. Your only friend in these YouTube streets, Porter Rock 77, back with another gaming video. We're talking about the PlayStation Games and Network Service segment. I said I was going to do this video. So just to give you a breakdown, we're going to do this in three parts. So that way it's not an overwhelming one-shot deal. The first part is going to be on the platform. The second part is going to be on the studio business. And then the third part is going to be on the fireside chat. So three separate videos. So that way it's a bit more digestible. And just like Porter Rock, classic Porter Rock fashion, we will see and listen to what Sony has to say. I already seen a couple of channels and a couple of people talking, mostly on YouTube. I mean, not say mostly on YouTube, but specifically on YouTube, they're not showing you this video segment. What they're doing is they're just showing you the PowerPoint presentation, and I'm gonna be honest, they're pushing a fake narrative. They're interpreting the stuff they want to interpret it to appease their audience, and they're just being misinformed. So it just goes to what I've been saying. A lot of gamers are just not knowledgeable on gaming because of the people they listen to. And they don't try to fact check the content creators that they listen to, and they just completely believe them, and they just end up with the misinformation. And I don't see the point, right? I don't see the point in misinformation, and getting the community to be ignorant on the topics, because it doesn't change the reality. But here you get to hear what's going on, right? So let's kick it off. And here we go.
Hi, I'm Hideaki Nishino, President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment and a CEO of the platform business.
And hello, I'm Herman Hulst, CEO of the studio business.
Herman and I are pleased to be here today to discuss the PlayStation business and to update you on our current momentum and strategic direction. PlayStation has been defining the gaming industry for the past 3 decades. The PlayStation brand is universally celebrated by both players and creators for the unique experiences we create. From the first PlayStation released in 1994 to the PlayStation 5, we have demonstrated our commitment to innovation and supporting a diverse range of content from both third-party creators and our own PlayStation studios.
Now, what I like about this introduction is it's all about the console. It's all about the product that they make and what they sell us, right? They're selling us on a console. This is their platform, and they're showing pride to kick off this business segment, right? Um, in a world where everybody's saying that consoles don't matter, whatever, it's good to see that we have a few that still stand behind the very device that they're actually selling, and the very devices that built the legacy behind the brand. So this is really good. I like their introduction. Um, good start.
And we are excited to continue pushing the boundaries of play to serve the PlayStation community and to grow new audiences. Over these past 3 decades, we have grown.
So now they're gonna talk a little bit about this. So I'm gonna quickly recap. We're gonna listen to him, but I want to orientate this image so you can understand what we're seeing. So what we're seeing is the 5 generations of PlayStation. You'll see it says PlayStation, PlayStation 2, 3, 4, and then the blue 5. When you go down the line, you'll see a number right below it. So, for example, on PlayStation, you'll see it says 24 billion. PlayStation 2 says 44 billion. PlayStation 3 says 71 billion. PS4 says 107 billion and PS5 says 136 billion. That's the amount of revenue in total they made in that generation. So PlayStation 1 made $24 billion its entire generation. PlayStation 2 made $44 billion in revenue for its entire generation, and 70 and so on and so on. All right. And then they show the graph, the columns showing how much money they made in each year. But that doesn't really mean much because there's no number associated. So you can only imagine. I mean, you can kind of guess and split it, but don't worry about that. Below that number is the operating income. That's the profit. Okay, so operating income, the profit they made off of PlayStation the entire generation was $3 billion. During the PlayStation 2 gen, $2 billion was made. Now I know the little triangle, the play. Sorry about that. Is covering it, but that there says negative 4 billion. That's right. Sony lost money during the PlayStation 3 gen. So you can argue from a money perspective, PlayStation lost the gen, all out. And you know what? You will not be wrong. If you would say PlayStation 3 was the loser of the gen because they lost money, you would absolutely be right because they lost negative $4 billion. I mean, they lost $4 billion. Then the PlayStation 4, they generated 9 billion in profit, which was at that time the most profit they ever seen, and a huge increase in profitability until the PlayStation 5 with 13 billion so far in profit. Now keep in mind, we're comparing the PlayStation 5, let's say for the PlayStation 4, which already had what, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 7 years. So in 7 years, PlayStation 4 generated $9 billion. In PlayStation 5 years, 13 billion. Right. And there's still 2 more years to go, maybe even 3 more years to go to whatever, right? Depending on when the next generation actually starts. So that's how successful the PlayStation 5 gen is. Now, of course, people can argue during the 5 years of the PlayStation 5, it also includes PlayStation 4, which we will get to that because there was a slide talking about that. And I think it's important that I cover that slide. But we will leave it for that period. But let's continue and listen to the rest of the presentation.
On our business at an incredible rate. The current generation with the PlayStation 5 has already become the largest in terms of the total sales and operating income. And our financial profile continues to evolve as the overall business has scaled. Sony Group's theme for the fifth mid-range plan is Beyond the Boundaries to maximize synergies across the group. SI
Now I'm going to stop this. So now you hear console and beyond. This is one of those images that's being misrepresented, right? Right now they're showing console and beyond, and what's being narrative push is beyond the console, PC, Xbox, Nintendo, and every other device. That is what's the narrative being pushed. What Sony actually talks about, and I think they'll talk about it in part 2 when it talks about studio business, is not beyond the console, but beyond gaming, where they can make these IPs popular, meaning movies and anime and TV shows. That's what they mean by beyond gaming, not beyond the PS5. And now let's focus on other devices. That's not what Sony's talking about. And we will hear it and you will listen to it, right? But again, people are just taking the screenshot and they're just making up a narrative, which I don't understand why they would do that, because the narrative isn't true. That's not what Sony said. And if Sony doesn't say it, then it's not going to happen. It's weird. But some gamers just prefer lies and they're going to run with it and not realizing they're just misinformed. But all right, let's listen. Let's continue.
SI's theme is console and beyond. We are building on the strengths of the PlayStation platform and the PlayStation Studios, broadening our reach, audience, and the value we create for players and creators. We have established a leading position in this console generation, and we are now focused on capitalizing on this momentum by driving greater profitability and investing thoughtfully.
So that's a nice way of saying they won the gen. Establish a leading position in this console generation. Sony is saying they won the gen. The gen is over. They won. It's theirs. Despite, this cross weird, just whatever people are trying to say, Sony themselves considers themselves the winner of the gen. They have the lead. They got it. Now they ain't got to even focus on trying to win the gen. They already won it. Now it's trying to maximize profitability and experiences and stuff like that. So, in short, Sony's saying we won. Deal with it.
Let me take a first moment to summarize what the PlayStation experience means. PlayStation is an experience and a community who shares excitement. Our role is to connect players and game creators. We want to provide the players with the best gaming experience possible, and that means enabling creators to provide players with these amazing experiences. Fulfilling this commitment enables us to serve 124 million players with access to over 12,000 games. as more players come to PlayStation, more creators do too, which attracts more players, and so on. This positive feedback loop has attracted over 4,000 creators to our platform, from the largest publishers to the smallest indie studios. All of this is showcased by PlayStation Studios. Through our studios, we have built world-class franchises and beloved characters. Year after year, we provided fans with niche narrative experiences and live service titles that demonstrate our obsession with quality, confirming that PlayStation is the best place to play.
Now, I would say the live services are iffy loose because they had a lot of setbacks and cancellations. But I think they're primarily talking about the good parts, the ones that are good, right? And I think they're including MLB, Gran Turismo. So I mean, it's the business; they could do that, whatever, right? And Helldivers, of course. We'll see. They'll talk. You'll see something interesting as we get to it. But I personally don't feel the live service is successful in terms of the new stuff, because in terms of new stuff, it's really only been Helldivers. Everything else has been a flop. And we'll see how Marathon and Fair Games comes out. Doesn't look so hot, but they could be successful. So we'll see how those two next projects do.
And we continue to explore new ways to connect players and new audiences to these franchises through games and other media on console and beyond.
Now remember, he said other media. That's movies, anime, cartoons, TV shows.
The platform and studio businesses are the organizational pillars that allow us to deliver for players and creators. Tightly interconnected components which have each powered our success and are fundamental for us to continue executing successfully.
Now you see this image, right? The PlayStation business. You don't see PC on this screen, right? The platform business is the console, the peripheral, the content, the services, and the studio businesses all in one, right? They didn't put devices, right? Because they could have put devices or console and PC. They could have put console and PC, right? They don't have PC on there, right? Of course, they have two games for Xbox, right? That will be the show and upcoming marathon, but you don't see consoles plural or anything like that. This is their core business right here. The PlayStation business is what you see on the screen, plain and simple.
Now turning to the platform business. The PlayStation console is the gateway to a lifetime of player engagement and value.
Did I not tell you the business of PlayStation is the marketplace? They want you to go to their console, and if you're gonna do anything as a console gamer, do anything in gaming, you're doing it through PlayStation. There you go. Love it. I love the fact that he's out there, and of course, you're not gonna see this on any other channel because it goes against their narratives, right? They can't establish that narrative. The PlayStation console is the marketplace. It is the gateway to get gamers to play through them. That is their main business. That is the heart of that. So anything you do in gaming, and you're a console gamer and you want to play on consoles, they're trying to attract you so you could do everything through them.
A deep and diverse library of first and third party content, a valuable and compelling subscription service, and the peripherals that enhance the experience. Our platform is stronger than ever. We continue to attract more players, and we now have over 124 million monthly active users. Through the wide range of content and services we provide, these players are more engaged than ever, which has resulted in a record high gameplay hours. Our platform is also more accessible than ever. The PlayStation 5 offers the best way for players to experience.
Now, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. We're going to listen to him, but I want you guys to pay attention to this side because this is important. They are making more money because PlayStation 4 is having a longer a tail end to its legacy, right? Compared to the PlayStation 1, 2, and 3, the 4 is still relevant to this day. I mean, the next Call of Duty is made for the PS4. That's crazy, right? And it's 5 years into the gen, they're still making Call of Duty into that. Fortnite still works, Apex still works. So this is also another thing to understand is the PlayStation 4 was the first PlayStation console that was x86 architecture. When the transition from Power PC to x86 was done, PlayStation 4 was the PlayStation to be the first x86. Then PS5 is also x86. So that was the first transition to go from PS4 to PS5, or basically x86 to x86. Because of this transition, there was a huge crossing across the industry of titles. This helped PlayStation 4 to be more relevant year after year after year. Despite the console gen beginning in 2020. I even seen some PlayStation 4 gamers when the second trailer of Grand Theft Auto 6 came out, they said, "Oh wait, you didn't announce this for PS4." Some gamers are still playing their PS4 so much that they don't understand why Grand Theft Auto is not going to come out on the PlayStation 4. That's um how would you say, that's how PS4 is surviving. That's how well it's doing. That people still expect newer games to still show up on it. That transition, that cross gen is benefiting Sony in the sense that they are now earning for the first time, I think, between two consoles, a lot of money over a 5 year period, which is a contributing factor to why they reach so much money quickly. But as you can see though, PlayStation 5 is in itself is still generating more money than the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 5 at 77 million or 78 million, 79 million, right? Around there is generating more money than PlayStation 4 at 120 or whatever million. Now, to be fair, PlayStation 4, while it did sell 120 million units, whatever, it's no longer actively at that number because a lot of the PlayStation 4 gamers did leave PlayStation 4 and now they're on PlayStation 5. So the 120 million plus console sales isn't active anymore because a lot of the gamers like me, I'm one of the PlayStation 4 gamers that left PlayStation 4 and now play on PlayStation 5. They left the ecosystem, right? So you can see that. Now, to give you orientation to the left, the monthly active users, the blue bar is the PlayStation 5, the gray bar is a PlayStation 4. What I don't like is it's a total 124 million, but it doesn't give you the breakdown. You can only make an estimation. All you can know is the blue bar is bigger than the gray bar, which means there's more monthly active users playing PlayStation 5 as compared to PlayStation 4. So the majority of the 124 million is on PlayStation 5, right? But monthly active users, they're using the console as a metric. A lot of people are saying, oh, Sony's going to chase monthly active users, so they're going to put their games on Xbox and Nintendo to grow. Like, no, that's not what they're doing. They want more people to play on PlayStation because that's where the bread and butter of their money is. So they want to get more people to play on PlayStation for longer hours, more games, more stuff like that. They're focusing on growing the monthly active users in their own platform. They don't care about the monthly active users on the other devices. I mean, sure, I'm sure on PC they want people to buy their games and stuff like that, but their MAU focus is specifically on their platforms.
Experience our content, and as such, this player base has continued to grow. These players are highly engaged, spending more on the content and services than in prior generations. However, the PlayStation 4 remains an important access point for existing players to experience our content and services, and we remain committed to serving them. Content and services provide a consistent and a predictable base of revenue and now represent over two-thirds of total revenue. This includes the PlayStation Store with a range of content including ongoing franchise and new hits, and a PlayStation Plus, which provides profitable and recurring subscription-based revenue. The store business has a balanced portfolio of content with diverse characteristics. Major, ongoing franchises consistently make up about half of this revenue, comprised of live service titles and annual releases. But we also support a wide range of creators, which resulted in a collection of over 12,000.
Now, to give you some orientation to this, we'll use FY each year 22, 23, 24. 22 is 53%, 51%, 53%. Half the revenue, right, was pretty much off of third party, right? And it's always been that way. That's why I said PlayStation Business is the marketplace. All of that stuff is what they're making money off of. EA Football Club, the Fortnite, Genshin Impact, College Football, Grand Theft Auto, Ubisoft Plus, Play, NBA 2K, Call of Duty, right? All that stuff, right? If they don't have a console, because a lot of people say they're going to get rid of a console. If they don't have a console, they would not be able to make money off of all that. Imagine PlayStation just getting rid of the console and they say, oh, we'll just put an app on PC. The problem is no one would care about that app because most PC gamers or anyone who does jump to PC, they will go to what? They will go to Steam, right? And then let's use Fortnite as an example. If PlayStation makes an app on PC, they will not get Fortnite anymore because Fortnite is an Epic Game Store exclusive. So the only app on PC that has Fortnite is Epic Game Store. So if that's where they make the money at. You see what I'm saying? If Sony were to get rid of the console and let's go with the app, they will lose a lot of these franchises. They will not be making money on a lot of these franchises. That's just a reality. They're able to make money off these third-party games and the recurring revenue, which is right now 53% of their revenue, because they have a console. You see, and this is why I'm saying the importance of a console, a successful console is for a company. If your console is successful and you're doing these numbers, you're going to keep making consoles. But if you're not doing these numbers, you're not selling the consoles, and you're not making money off of, as a storefront, as a gateway, then you're going to get rid of it.
1,000 titles, pairing the rest of our store revenue and capturing breakout successes such as 2024's Black Myth Wukong. Complementing this is the PlayStation Plus, which provides recurring subscription-based revenue.
So here, you see slow growth little by little. So now in FY 2022, so 2022, premium like 17% of the subscribers were premium, 13% were extra, right? So that's what, 30? That's like 30%. So 70% was essential. Then in 23, premium grew and extra grew. So premiums 19%, extra 16%. And then in 24, this last fiscal, 22% are premium and 16% is extra. So 38% of the PlayStation Plus subscribers are extra or higher. So that shows growth, a little bit of growth in which tier of PlayStation Plus gamers are choosing on PlayStation. Pretty impressed that premium is that high. 22% of the subscribers are premium. That's pretty impressive.
We are focused on driving profitable growth by increasing engagement and appeal, and by continuously improving the service proposition and the content that we offer players and subscribers. As a result, subscribers are increasingly choosing our premium and extra tiers, which now represent approximately 38% of total subscribers. Peripherals enhance the PlayStation experience. Through innovation in our lineup of peripherals, as well as third-party partnership.
Now, you can see the PlayStation Portal is there under the PlayStation Peripheral, right? So I remember PlayStation one time asked MPD to count the Portal as a console, right? Number one, when they did ask that, it wasn't to count it as a PS5 console. They wanted the Portal to be counted as a console in of its own. But then like a month later, they went back and said, nah, just count it as an accessory. And it's been one of the highest selling accessories. Very successful, right? Just putting it out there. Because there's still people that believe that the console sales include Portal.
We are providing new ways of players to play. This includes the Portal, which provides an additional access point to the PlayStation platform. Additionally, we are intensifying players' connection to our brands through customization and special edition designs. And to celebrate our 30th year anniversary, we released a limited edition lineup of consoles and peripherals that honor the PlayStation launch in 1994, and these have been hugely popular with nostalgic fans. Underpinning the platform business is a strong focus on operational excellence. Our supply chain is geographically diverse, and we manage it strategically to meet the demands efficiently. Content distribution is an area where we continuously investing in and exploring the new ways to enhance player personalization, content discovery, and pricing optimization. And our player and creator services remain a key strength, supporting our commitment to being the best place to play and publish. These areas are core to our ecosystem health and ensure we are well positioned for the future. To wrap up on the platform business, we have established a strong foundation for the future, reaching record levels of players and engagement. We are now focused on capitalizing on this current momentum and are continuing to drive monetization on content, services, and peripherals. I will now pass it to Haman to discuss the studio business.
Thank you, Nishina-san.
All right, so I'm gonna stop here. I'm just gonna recap my points. Give you my thoughts on the presentation so far. Let me back this up real quick, a minute. Right here. So ultimately, the platform business, they are telling us, and they have told us, and this is it. So there's no more narratives or fake stuff about PlayStation's going away, no PlayStation 6, or any of that weird stuff. They are serious about the console. The one big takeaway I will take out of anything, all of this, is the multi-generational, how would you say, the multi-generational strategy, this right here. I think this is the biggest takeaway we got to understand. This means right here, and the reason why I say it's the biggest takeaway, if the PlayStation 4, like we all know how the PlayStation 4 came out, right? Jaguar cores wasn't really beefed up and whatever. Some people say that was the reason why the PS4 Pro mid-gen refresh started, because of that, right? But yet the PlayStation 4 is still relevant today. It's getting a brand new Call of Duty. So it's still a big portion of the business, right? With cross-gen gaming. Now, Sony, while they're mentioning they're going to support it, but I think they mean by third party and stuff like that, because Sony's own first party haven't been making PlayStation 4 games for a while. Even the Horizon game that went to the Switch didn't go to the PlayStation 4. The fighter game, that Tokon, like Tokon, I think is Tokon, 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 whatever. You know what I'm talking about. The Marvel fighting game, where that's also not on PS4. So there's a lot of games Sony's making now that, so as far as Sony first party game, they're done with PlayStation 4. But with third party, I'm pretty sure they're still supporting it with whatever third party want, and that's a 30% cut. But the big deal with this is when PlayStation 6 comes out, PlayStation 5 is going to have long legs, especially with the Pro. The Pro's a great console, and that's going to be like another 5-6 year cross gen. I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation 5 lasts the entire PlayStation 6 gen, or at least close to it. 6 years deep into it, because a PlayStation 5 is a very good, well-built console. So if the PlayStation 4 is surviving 5 years so far, I don't see why the PlayStation 5 won't survive 5 years. It could survive possibly a longer gen. Now, I'm not saying I'm cool with it, but this x86 changed the game, and Sony sees lots of money with a multi-generational ecosystem. Could the PS4 survive another 3-4 years? I don't know. I don't like it. Because you're still making games for the lowest common denominator, and instead of PS5 being the lowest common denominator, at least for third party, well, some third party, because I think most third party moved on. This could be PS4 could be powered simply by the free to plays, because all the free to play still work on PlayStation 4. That could be a big, huge contributor. But a lot of the newer games, they moved on from the PlayStation 4. Right? But we'll see. But I think that's the biggest takeaway. But ultimately, we're going to end off with the video with this. You clearly see Sony is serious about the console. They're absolutely serious about the console. It is absolutely successful. So all that stupid narrative about the console's in trouble, it's going away, no PlayStation 6, it's just absolute nonsense. It's a wrap. It's done. Just move on from that. And we'll just leave it at that. Okay. But anyway, stay tuned for part 2 on the PlayStation Studio business. I will cover that in a part 2. But let me know what you think about part 1. If you're a PlayStation console gamer, right, is there a little bit of sigh of relief that the narrative has been completely dispelled and the PlayStation consoles are strong as ever, and they're just going to keep making consoles, right? Let me know what you think about that. And if you're a console gamer, let's say on Xbox or whatever, do you give props to Sony actually, backing up their console, right? When was the last time we seen Xbox, actually go out there with the bravado talking about the console business? We haven't seen that in a while, right? So shout out to Sony for, starting off this whole thing with pride in their console, which is the device they're selling to us. Anyway, your only friend is YouTube Streets Porter Rock 77. Thank you so much for checking out this video, and stay tuned for part 2. I'm out of here.